Good morning, friends, and welcome to a wonderful digital edition of our Youth Sunday School. We're going to keep these videos brief, but we are excited for the topics that we get to talk about within them. I'm Pastor David. I'm here with my wife Emily and daughter Hope, and I'm sure Philo, as he wanders around, he'll show up in this video a few times as well. The youth did, after all, want to see him, I think, more than they wanted to see me in these, so it'll be good to have him a part at various times throughout. As we begin this week, and as we move on into the weeks ahead, we're going to be talking about various topics of the Christian faith. Sometimes we'll look at Bible stories, sometimes we'll look at questions about how different worldviews and ideologies mesh with the faith that we hold. So we'll be bouncing all over the place, but it should be good fun and wonderfully insightful to see our good God shine through all of this conversation. Today, with the help of Philo, we are going to reveal what our topic is for this morning. Today, our topic is going to be Advent. Currently, we are celebrating the second week of Advent. But Advent is actually a whole season that gives us 4 wonderful weeks to enjoy as we lead up to the season and celebration of Christmas. Advent happens to be one of Emily's favorite seasons of the church. So Emily, what is it that you like about Advent?
Well, the first thing that I like about Advent is that it is the start of the new church year. And so I am kind of a goal-driven person sometimes and like to set different goals and things that I like to do and keep track of that. But with the new church year, it's like you get a new start. It's like you have new things that you want to do or you want to try, or maybe new disciplines you want to look into, and so it's just it's a time to start anew. And I like that.
Yeah, as we've all moved through this 2020 year that probably hasn't been the favorite year that many of us have ever lived, we're kind of excited for December 31st for that New Year's celebration.
Happy New Year!
Well, as Christians, we get a little bit of a jump on that. We get to celebrate New Year's early with the season of Advent that lets us start with a whole fresh new year beginning now. I am pretty sure that there's some other things that you like about Advent as well. Is there anything else that gets you excited about this season?
Yes. I like the new changes that come with the Advent season. So some of the music changes, some of the way that the sanctuary or the nave, how that changes. It looks different and it sounds different and it's beautiful. I love the Advent hymn, O Come, Emmanuel. And then as Advent starts, you have the Advent wreath that's kind of hanging up in the nave, and it's beautiful, and the candles are lit, adding one each week with our new verse of our hymn. And then the changing colors. With the blue, when we hang kind of the blue around the church. So that's a little different from the purple that I had growing up.
Purple tends to be the traditional color of Advent. As what other season has the color purple attached to it?
Lent.
Lent. And the reason that Advent and Lent both had the color purple attached to them is that they're both penitential seasons. What that means is that they're seasons of the church that encourage us to reflect on the lives that we've been living and to be honest and open about maybe some of the ways that we've not lived quite the way God calls us to live, to feel sorry for that, to try to bring new discipline and some changes into our life that'll focus us a little bit more on our God and the way that He calls us to live and be as a people of faith. And so Lent has been understood as sort of that big penitential season. You get 40 days of it, but Advent has often been called a mini Lent. It's a penitential season that's just a little bit shorter. Actually, when you look at some of the Advent wreaths that have the purple and the pink candles, one of the ways that those candles have traditionally been understood is that you have those 3 purple penitential weeks of Advent, and then that sort of light red or that pink candle was the 3rd week of Advent called Gaudete Sunday, which was sort of a break. You got to take a breath from all of the strict penitence that you were doing throughout those other weeks of Advent. So you were reflecting, you were disciplining yourself, you were trying to clean yourself up, so to speak. And then on that 3rd week, Gaudete Sunday, that pink candle that we would sometimes see in churches, that would be a little bit of a break from that. But then in more recent years, another understanding of Advent began to emerge and become quite popular. While Lent continues to be a season of penitence and preparation, it is also a season of expectation and hope. And so when we see those bright blue paraments shining before us as we worship, that color isn't hard to bring our minds to ideas of expectation and hope. And so Advent is actually a season that's just packed full of meaning. We're trying to prepare ourselves for the coming of Christ, but we're also excited about his coming. We're excited for the gift that he brings and the joy that he offers and the hope that he shares with us. And so that joy and hope and expectation is reflected well in that beautiful blue color that we see so often in the church today. We've talked now about some of the changes that happen in the church and some of the ways that they guide our thoughts and our lives as we worship together in this season, with the color blue that turns our minds towards understandings of expectation and hope, and the color purple, which reminds us of royalty and penitence. As we gather around the scriptures throughout this season, the scriptures are consistently going to lift up certain topics and perspectives. They're going to guide our minds and our thoughts in specific directions year after year as we move through this wonderful season together. If we look at just excerpts from the Gospels from the weeks throughout the season of Advent this year, we can see some of those themes pretty clearly, even from just a line or two from each of the Gospels throughout the weeks. As we're moving through Advent, we all know pretty clearly that we're looking forward to the birth of Christ. But in addition to the baby in the manger, Advent also turns our attention towards the future in a wonderful way as well. Christ is risen and he's ascended to the Father, and he has promised to come back one day to have a second coming where when he returns, everything will be made as it's supposed to be. And so in the season of Advent, while we're looking towards that beautiful baby in a manger, God among us, we're looking for when God comes among us again in his second coming as well. If we look at a reading from last week, November 29, Advent 1, we saw in Mark where the evangelist told us, "Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory." That gospel from last week was turning our attention towards the second coming of Christ, where the world will be set as it was always meant to be. In addition, if we move forward to the gospel reading for this week, we're again in the Gospel of Mark, and this time we're going to see that theme of preparation that goes with the penitence. As Christ is coming, be it his second coming or be it the baby in the manger, we want to prepare ourselves. We want to clean ourselves up to be presentable when he arrives. And so this week, what we're hearing in the Gospel of Mark is, as it is written in the prophet Isaiah, "See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you who will prepare your way, the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord and make his paths straight." We hear in Advent the voice of the messenger saying, "Get ready, get ready, get ready." A theme that we will hear again and again throughout the Advent seasons in the church.
And that theme of expectation continues as well in next week's reading that comes from John. And it says, "John answered them, I baptize with water. Among you stands one whom you do not know, the one who is coming after me. I am not worthy to untie the thong of his sandal." So we know that he is talking about Jesus coming, and he's saying, I'm baptizing you with water, but just wait, and to see, what Jesus is going to do. And so that beautiful expectation and that theme continues to be there. And then in our fourth week, we have a verse from Luke, and it says, "Greetings, favored one. The Lord is with you, and now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there will be no end." So that kind of speaks of like the great hope that kind of puts it all together there for us. And so it has that expectation of Jesus coming and being born and all of that into the world, and then also our hope in having a kingdom with no end. And so that hopeful expectation. And so hope is more than a wish, it's something that we kind of know that's coming, and it's an excited anticipation of what's to come.
So friends, it's been wonderful to be able to talk about this season of Advent. I know sometimes we just look, oh, it's another season, another season, another season. But these seasons of the church, they really do shape and guide the ways that we live and worship and even look at God throughout the year. Sometimes they act as a welcome change that gives us a moment of refreshment, or maybe a moment of resetting, if that's what we've needed. But these seasons are gifts to us from those who've gone before, and they're wonderful ways that God bursts into our life anew and shows his goodness in vibrant and beautiful ways. I hope that this has been informative, and I thank Emily and Hope and Philo for all giving so much effort and work into making this video with me. And I look forward to future weeks where we can look at all kinds of different topics and scriptures and questions of this vibrant and rich and deep faith that we so enjoy together. God bless you, dear friends, and we'll see you next week.
See you soon.